What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. Let me just start this off with saying how great it is to be a fan again. There's so much pride that I've had this season, realistically since Salah came, but the wins obviously help heighten everything. A sense of pride in being a fan again that I haven't had since we used to be in the playoffs, and we can hear teams discussing how how their offensive coordinators are going to screw them out of a win because of our defense and how tough it's going to be to move the ball and numerous other things, right? The ground game, Sean Green Days, LaDainian Tomlinson, Bilal Powell. It was great. With that said, though, it's always interesting to kind of see where the media falls with things, especially when it's related to the New York Jets. As we know, the media can be very fickle. You'll see anything from them buying into a team early and not want to relinquish, that quote unquote finding the diamond in the rough for the season, anyways. Think like the Bengals last year, or they're very slow to buy in, and it doesn't matter how consistent a team looks until essentially playoff time. They don't want to give them proper respect, but I think when you take a look at how some of these games are relayed, more specifically to us in particular, the audience, the TV television show ratings, I think that speaks a lot of volumes about what the NFL and its broadcasting members as a whole think. The New York Jets have elevated themselves so much so that we were denied a flex opportunity to get into a primetime game by CBS. And it's interesting because I'm trying to think back, and maybe I was too young at that time, but I don't think I ever really paid much attention to when we got flexed or even cared to a various degree. But I know that we had enough. I would say we probably averaged, what, 2 to 3 primetime games during our last couple winning seasons there and around that playoff time. And then thinking back again to like the Ryan Fitzmagic season, I think we were able to flex once or twice there as well, as we kind of got things going. But we got denied by CBS, and I had to really dive into this and find out what exactly this meant, because just hearing it at face value, I was extremely pissed off, right? I think I speak for us all when I say we want to be able to see our New York Jets in prime time, in front of America's audience, bright and center, especially when you consider games like the Vikings that are coming up, the Bills, which is going to be another huge matchup. You think the Dolphins, for example, to end the year. And so I realized that this actually, in nature of the move itself, is a good thing, right? So CBS and all of these other networks. So we're talking CBS, we're talking NBC, we're talking Fox, we're talking ESPN. All of them have some level and availability to protect the game, or in other words, deny, at least as the articles that you'll see will come out say. The NFL, and this is very it's very convoluted, so I didn't even want to dive into it as part of this video. But basically, in terms of the contractual agreements for how the NFL is handing out games to each of these broadcasting teams, they're allowed to protect a certain amount. There's a lot more that goes into it. For sure, it's a very complicated process. But that would be the main takeaway. Each of them can protect a set amount of games. And this is in not only the best interest of that particular network, but to various degrees, it also ends up helping out the NFL. But you have to keep in mind, the NFL can't just overrule them, right, and say, no, this is, huge bulletin board material this week in terms of playoff implications and all these other things. They have to keep these networks happy, right? ESPN, I think when we're talking like monetary wise, is investing about as much money as like NBC and CBS combined, I think. And there's a whole lot more to it, right? This is the world of billionaires and stuff. I try to stray away from there, even though I like to touch the money. But we ultimately got denied, and it's a great thing. It means that CBS deemed our game such highly rated television that they did not want to give the opportunity for it to go to another network. So if you take it from that standpoint, it's awesome. There are going to be a couple of other opportunities, right? The two that stick out in my mind, and this is from a storyline perspective. You have the Week 17 game against the Seahawks. This is essentially Geno's comeback story, right? He may win Comeback Player of the Year. He's arguably leading an MVP season. He's been, in the top 3 to 5 QBR since really the season began with him starting. And you think it all comes back to this place with the New York Jets in terms of his origins. Why couldn't we get it right with them? There's a whole list of reasons, but it would be a fun storyline nonetheless to kind of see what happens there. And then obviously the other big one, which I touched upon, would be the Week 18 Dolphins game. We're talking hopefully a healthy team with the Miami Dolphins. We didn't get to see Tua Tagovailoa in our first matchup in, what was that, week 4? And there was a lot to be said about how we decimated them, but the fact that it was against backups, more injuries occurred, etc. So that'll be a huge rematch. It could have strong playoff implications, everything from determining who becomes the AFC East division winner to if the New York Jets and or Dolphins actually make the playoffs. In what's turned out to be the deepest division in the NFL for us. Ideally, of course, when we're finally breaking out and showing huge developments in Robert Saleh's program, heading into year 2 anyways. This does mean, though, since it's protected, that most likely CBS is going to be giving us their top broadcast pairing. That'll be Jim Nantz and then Tony Romo. If it, it lightens the blow for anybody who still is upset, at least from the NFL's perspective, it was reported that they did want the game flex, but again, the power was in the hands of CBS this go around, and that ends up being how the dice falls. So overall, I'm happy for it. This is good news for us all. The New York Jets are relevant again. We feel important not only to the team, to us as the fan base. When you take a look at some of the comments and things that are made, not only from coaches and executives, but from other players around the league, that game with the New York Jets, they used to just say W in the calendar column for a lot of other teams. Now they're taking a look at it and they're really having to sit there and game plan. Hopefully, when I take a look back at this season, the last slate that we really need to knock out is going to be the Patriots, right? That's the last anchor tied to the New York Jets as keeping them from truly being in the atmosphere, taking flight 24/7. And the comments Bill Belichick made about admittedly looking forward to playing the Vikings because, effectively he considered the New York Jets irrelevant to him, definitely is it's a sticking point for me, right? I think that's something that we definitely have on the bulletin board heading into next year when we hopefully sweep them. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Would you still have preferred to see this flexed? I think it's probably a redundant question. I know the answer for me would be a yes. But how are you guys feeling about the Jets, the remaining 6 games that we're playing, and how you think we'll finish out? And looking forward to seeing the comments. I'll catch you guys again. Appreciate all the love and support as always. Peace.